My name is Simone Reed, 34 years old, financial analyst at one of Atlanta's major firms. Married to Marcus for exactly 10 years. No children. That last detail wasn't a choice we celebrated together. It was a wound we never properly cleaned, so it just kept festering under the surface. Every morning for the last 6 years began the same way, with the weight of someone else's presence pressing against the walls of what used to be our home. Dolores Henson, my mother-in-law, had moved in temporarily after her husband died. Marcus had promised me it would be short-term. 6 years later, temporary had become permanent, and permanent had become suffocating. The alarm sounded at 6:30 a.m., same as always. I silenced it quickly so it wouldn't wake anyone else, though I knew Dolores was already up. She was always up before me, claiming the bathroom first, like it was her sovereign territory. I slipped into the shower, the steam still thick and perfumed with her lavender soap when I stepped in. Even the air belonged to her. I dressed in the hallway. Mirror, because the bedroom felt too small with 3 adults sharing it. Black pencil skirt, cream blouse, low heels, professional armor. Coffee downed standing at the kitchen counter while I scrolled emails on my phone. I tried to move silently, like a ghost in my own apartment. But ghosts don't escape Dolores. Running off again without making your husband breakfast? Her voice sliced through the quiet hallway. Before I even reached the front door, sharp, accusatory, triumphant. I froze, hand on the doorknob. My shoulders rose instinctively toward my ears. Marcus can manage on his own, I said quietly. I didn't turn around. Manage on his own? She let out that signature scoff, the one that turned a single word into an entire indictment. You've been letting that poor boy starve for 10 years. Good thing I'm here. I pressed my lips together until they hurt. Answering would only feed the machine. Every reply was fuel. Silence was the only thing that sometimes starved it. I opened the door, stepped into the hallway, and closed it behind me with deliberate softness. The elevator door slid shut. In the mirrored wall, I caught my reflection. Dark circles carved beneath my eyes. A permanent worry line etched between my brows like someone had taken a knife and drawn it there slowly over years. I barely recognized the woman staring back. Where had the 24-year-old Simone gone? The one who laughed easily, who believed Marcus when he said forever, who received flowers every Friday and came home to candlelit dinners he'd cooked himself? That version of me had slowly been erased, replaced by someone smaller, quieter, always bracing for the next comment. Dolores hadn't started big. At first it was gentle suggestions. You might want to add more salt to the rice, dear. The floors look better when you mop twice. Small corrections delivered with a smile. Then came the observations about my appearance. That skirt is a little tight, isn't it? You look tired. Maybe cut back on those long hours. Then the children question arrived like clockwork. When are you going to give me grandchildren? The clock is ticking, you know. Are you barren or something? That last word, barren, had lodged in my chest like a splinter. We'd both been tested, everything normal. Timing just hadn't aligned. Or maybe the stress had quietly poisoned the possibility. I never knew for sure. What I did know was that Marcus never defended me. Never once. She's an old woman, Simone. Just ignore her. That sentence became his national anthem. A 4-word shield he raised every time his mother crossed a line. It wasn't protection. It was permission. Permission for her to keep going. Permission for him to keep hiding. By the time I reached the office, my temples were throbbing with the familiar, dull ache that lived. They're now like a tenant who paid no rent. I dropped my bag at my desk, opened my laptop, and tried to disappear into spreadsheets. Ms. Reed, Mr. Sterling would like to see you right away. The secretary's voice was calm, professional. My stomach twisted anyway. Meetings with the managing director were rarely casual. I walked the long corridor to his corner office. Mr. Sterling stood when I entered, tall, silver-haired, always impeccably dressed. Today his smile was wider than usual. Simone, sit. I sat. He remained standing for a moment, looking at me with something close to pride. 8 years, he began. 8 years of flawless work. Not a single report sent back for revisions. Not once. I blinked. I hadn't realized he kept such close track. Mr. Thompson is retiring next month. I want to offer you his position, head of analysis. Double your current salary. Enhanced performance bonuses. Platinum tier health coverage. The full package. The words hit like cold water on fevered skin. I couldn't process them. Me? My voice sounded small. He chuckled softly. Who else? You're the best analyst we have. You've earned this. He extended his hand. Congratulations. Starting tomorrow, you're the boss. I shook it. My fingers trembled. Tears pricked behind my eyes, not joy exactly, but something close to deliverance. For 8 hours a day, I was valued here, respected, seen. The opposite of the apartment where I spent the other 16. The rest of the day passed in a pleasant haze. Colleagues congratulated me in the break room. Mr. Thompson spent an hour walking me through handover notes. My inbox filled with welcome messages. For the first time in years, I felt taller. During lunch, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Dear Ms. Reed, please contact our law firm at your earliest convenience regarding the estate of Ms. Maeve Sinclair, Auntie Maeve, my mother's only sister. The quiet, gentle woman who had lived in a modest one-bedroom in a low-income complex. She'd passed 5 months earlier, peacefully in her sleep. I'd gone to the funeral, cried quietly in the back row, visited her grave every month with fresh flowers. I'd helped pay some of her bills when she was alive. She always thanked me profusely, embarrassed, saying it was too much. I never imagined she had anything left to leave. I excused myself from the office at 4 p.m., claiming a personal matter. The attorney's office was downtown, in one of the older buildings with high ceilings and the faint smell of aged leather and ink. Mr. Wallace. Pierce greeted me himself, late 60s. Wire-rimmed glasses, gentle eyes. Your aunt left a will, he said after we sat. You are the sole heir. I leaned forward. I understand that, but what is there to inherit? He removed his glasses, polished them slowly, then looked at me with something almost fatherly. I'm afraid you didn't know your aunt very well. He opened a folder and began reading. A 2-bedroom condominium in Midtown. Atlanta, approximately 700 square feet. Current market value around $250,000. A 1-bedroom rental unit in DeKalb County, valued at approximately $100,000. A weekend cabin on a 3rd-acre plot north of the city, valued at approximately $120,000. Liquid assets, $15,000 in a savings account. A modest collection of antique jewelry appraised at $10,000. The numbers stacked up in front of me like bricks from another life. Auntie Maeve, who counted every dollar, who wore the same coat for 15 winters, who always said, I get by, had quietly become a small millionaire. How? I whispered. She saved, invested, bought. The properties in the late 90s when prices were low. Lived frugally. Very frugally. He slid an envelope across the desk. My name in her careful, looping handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. My dear Simone, if you are reading this, I am no longer here. Don't be sad. I lived a good long life. Surprised by what I left you? I imagine so. I saved every penny I could. Your mother knew about it. She was supposed to get half, but she didn't make it long enough. So now it's yours. Only yours. I watched you, child, all these years. I saw how your mother-in-law speaks to you, how your husband stays silent. I stayed quiet because you're grown, but my heart ached every time I thought of you in that house. You're trapped in a marriage that smothers you. You don't have the strength to leave. Yet because you don't have a safe place to land. This is that place. This is your insurance. Your emergency exit. If everything is fine between you and Marcus, then keep living as you are. But if one day you realize you deserve better, truly deserve better, then you have somewhere to go. You have freedom no one can ever take away. One last thing. When you find out about all this, don't tell anyone right away. Not Marcus, not his mother, not a soul. First listen, observe. People show their true colors when they think no one is watching. I love you more than words, Simone. Live for yourself.
Your Auntie Maeve.
The paper blurred. Hot tears dropped onto the ink, smudging her last sentence. I cried in that quiet office while Mr. Pierce politely turned his chair toward the window and gave me privacy. Auntie Maeve hadn't just saved money. She had saved me. She had lived small so I could one day live large. She had carried loneliness so I wouldn't have to carry chains. And she had known somehow, intuitively, that the people I lived with would reveal themselves the moment money entered the picture. Don't tell anyone right away. Her words echoed as I drove home through rush-hour traffic. Around 8 p.m., I parked in my usual spot. I had decided on the drive to tell Marcus everything. He would be happy for me. We could celebrate. Maybe this would change things. But her warning rang louder the closer I got. First, listen and observe. I climbed the 4 flights of stairs instead of taking the elevator. I turned the key slowly, silently. The door opened without a sound. Immediately, I smelled pot roast and gravy, Dolores's Friday special. The scent I had come to associate with obligation and confinement. Voices drifted from the kitchen, low, conspiratorial. I froze in the hallway, coat still on, purse clutched to my chest. I'm telling you, it's a sure thing. Dolores was saying. Her tone was sharp, victorious. Sabine from administration. Her sister works at that law firm. The Sinclair woman left Simone a fortune. My blood turned to ice. What kind of fortune? Marcus asked. His voice was eager, greedy, a tone I had never heard from him before. 2 condos, a cabin. Bank account. 350 to 450,000 easy. Silence, thick, hungry. Then the scrape of a chair. And what do you suggest, Mama? Marcus again, already planning. Act fast, she whispered. She doesn't know yet. When she finds out, you stay right by her side. Help her make the right decision. Which decision? Sell everything. Invest it in a business. You always wanted to open a restaurant. Now you can, with her money. My breath caught. They were discussing me the way people discuss a distant, gullible relative whose assets are up for grabs. Mama, that's her inheritance, Marcus said, but his objection sounded weak. Pro forma. So what? You're husband and wife. You put it in your name. You're the head of the family. She won't agree. Force her. Dolores's voice dropped lower, dangerous. Pressure her about the kids. Tell her you want children and you can't raise a family crammed in a rental with me. Tell her living here is like being parked on a sidetrack. I pressed my back against the wall. My heart hammered so loudly I was sure they could hear it. What if she refuses? Marcus asked softly. Then you divorce her in a couple of years. Once the money is tied up in the business. Divorce. The word landed like a slap. Why? Marcus asked. We've been married 10 years. No kids, no use. She works all day. I do everything at home. She's a nothing. You deserve better. Nothing. The word echoed in my skull. I waited for him to defend me, to say he loved me, to say anything decent. A long pause. Then his voice, quiet, resigned, but agreeing. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is time to make a change. The floor disappeared beneath me. My legs buckled. I grabbed the coat rack to keep from falling. 10 years. 10 years of coffee I made him. Socks I washed, meals I helped prepare, silences I endured, and I was nothing. Auntie Maeve's words rose like a beacon in the darkness. People show their true colors when they think no one is watching. I backed out silently, closed the door without a click, walked down 4 flights of stairs on shaking legs, sat on the cold bench outside our building as light rain began to fall. The drops hit my hair, my face. I didn't move, didn't cry. Instead, something cold and hard crystallized inside my chest. Fury turned to steel. I pulled out my phone, opened notes. One word at the top. Plan. Keep quiet about the inheritance. Consult a family law attorney immediately. Record future conversations. Check legality. Prepare exit strategy. Secure separate finances. Find safe housing. 20 minutes later, I stood up, straightened my coat, and walked back inside. This time I slammed the front door, loud enough to announce my arrival. They jumped when I entered the kitchen. Dolores was at the stove. Marcus at the table with his phone. Simone, he said. Why so late? Had to stay longer at work.
I paused. I have news.
Dolores turned. Her eyes glittered with poorly disguised greed. She thought the news was about Auntie Maeve. I got promoted, I said. Head of the analysis department. Salary doubles. A beat of stunned silence. Then Marcus. Congratulations. Flat, eyes already drifting back to his screen. Dolores turned back to the pot. The family needs it. That was all. No pride, no hug. No we're so happy for you. Just calculation. I went to bed early. Marcus came later. Lay beside me without speaking at first. Then casually, Mama was talking about Auntie Maeve. Said there might be an inheritance. No one called you? His voice tried for innocence. His jaw was tight. No, I lied smoothly. No one called. If they do, let me know. We're family after all. I stared at the ceiling in the dark. Yes, I said, family. Inside, the plan continued writing itself. Tomorrow I would call an attorney. Tomorrow everything would begin to move. And soon, very soon, everything would change. The next morning I woke before the alarm. Not because I was rested, sleep had been shallow and fractured, but because something inside me had shifted irrevocably. The woman who used to tiptoe around the apartment to avoid waking Dolores was gone. In her place was someone colder, more deliberate. Someone who had heard enough. I dressed in silence. Black trousers, navy blazer, hair pulled back severely. Professional, untouchable. I made coffee only for myself, left the pot empty, and slipped out before either of them stirred. The door closed behind me with a soft finality. In the car, I called the number Miss Regina Stone had given me when I Googled family law attorney. Atlanta Inheritance Protection. Late last night from the guest bathroom. Door locked, volume off. She answered on the second ring. Stone speaking. Ms. Stone, this is Simone Reed. I need an urgent consultation. It's about an inheritance and a marriage that may not survive it. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. Can you be here at 2 this afternoon?
Yes.
Bring any documents you have, will, deeds if you've received them, bank statements, anything. And bring a clear head. We'll need it. I spent the morning at work pretending everything was normal. I sat through 2 team meetings, nodded at the right moments, approved budget reallocations. Colleagues kept congratulating me on the promotion. I smiled and thanked them while my mind replayed last night's conversation on a loop. She's a nothing. You deserve better. Divorce her in a couple of years once the money is tied up. By noon, my hands were steady again. The fury had hardened into something useful, resolve. At 2 o'clock, I walked into Ms. Stone's office in Buckhead. Bright, airy potted ferns on the windowsill, diplomas framed in simple black. She was mid-50s, short silver hair, sharp navy suit, eyes that missed nothing. Sit, Simone. Tell me everything, I told her. The overheard conversation, word for word. The plan to pressure me into selling, investing in Marcus's restaurant dream, divorcing me once the assets were entangled, the way he had agreed, the way Dolores had called me a nothing. Ms. Stone listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back. Good news first. Under Georgia law, an inheritance received during marriage is separate property. It does not become marital property unless you voluntarily commingle it, put it into a joint account, use it to pay joint debts, retitle property in both names. As long as you keep it separate, Marcus has 0 legal claim. Not a penny. I exhaled so hard my shoulders dropped. Second piece of good news. No children means no custody battles. No alimony likely unless he can prove he's financially dependent, which, from what you've said, he isn't. You both work. The marriage is relatively short in legal terms. It should be straightforward. She paused. Now the difficult part. He may try anyway. He may claim you used marital funds for renovations or maintenance. He may allege oral agreements. People get creative when money is involved. So we prepare defensively. She slid a legal pad toward me. Start a new bank account today. Deposit only inheritance funds there. Pay for any renovations, taxes, insurance from that account only. Keep receipts. Rent a safe deposit box for originals, deeds, will, jewelry appraisal. Photograph everything and store copies in the cloud with 2-factor authentication. I nodded, writing furiously. Recording conversations. Georgia is a one-party consent state. You can record anything you're part of without telling them, but don't leave devices around hoping to catch private talks between them. That crosses into wiretap territory. Only record when you're present. She looked at me directly. You live in your mother-in-law's condo? Yes. That's a vulnerability. She can evict you with 30 days' notice. You need your own place, fast. Ideally, one they don't know about yet. I already have one, I said quietly. The Midtown condo Auntie Maeve left me. It needs work, but I can move in once it's habitable. Ms. Stone's expression softened for the first time. Smart. Get contractors started immediately. Stay in the marital home only as long as it takes to gather what you need. Documents, clothing, personal items. But don't delay. They will escalate once they realize you're not playing along. She handed me her card. Call me anytime, day or night. This is what I do. I left her office feeling lighter than I had in years. Not happy, there was too much grief mixed in, but in control. For the first time since I was 24, my life had a direction I had chosen. That evening, I drove straight to the Midtown condo instead of home. The building was quiet, a pre-war brick with Art Deco details in the lobby. I let myself in with the key Mr. Pierce had given me. The place smelled faintly of dust and closed windows, but the bones were beautiful. High ceilings, tall baseboards, large windows overlooking a small park. The floors were scratched hardwood that could be refinished. The kitchen was 1990s oak and laminate. Functional but dated. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, plenty of light. I walked every inch, touching walls, opening closets. This was mine. Not borrowed, not shared, mine. I called 3 contractors before I left. The first one could start demolition and basic updates in 5 days. I booked him on the spot. Next stop, my bank. I opened a new checking and savings account in my name only. Transferred the $15,000 cash balance from Auntie Maeve's account into it. The teller asked if I wanted a joint account. I said no, so firmly she blinked. I rented a safe deposit box, placed the original will, property deeds, jewelry appraisal, and Auntie Maeve's letter inside. Took photos of everything with timestamps before sealing the box. By the time I pulled into our parking spot, it was almost 9. I walked in carrying only my purse and laptop bag. No groceries, no apologies for being late. Dolores was in the living room watching her evening shows. Marcus was at the kitchen table scrolling on his phone. "You're late again," Dolores said without looking up. "Work," I replied. One word, no explanation. Marcus glanced up. "Everything okay?" "Fine." I went to the bedroom, closed the door, and started the voice memo app on my phone before setting it on the nightstand. Screen down. He came in 20 minutes later. "Simone, Mama was asking again about Auntie Maeve. You sure no one called?" I turned slowly. "Positive." He rubbed the back of his neck. "If there is something, we could use it. Together, maybe finally get our own place. Start fresh." I studied him. The man I once thought was kind. The man who had just agreed to divorce me for money he hadn't earned. "I'll let you know if anything changes," I said neutrally. He hesitated, then nodded and left. I stopped the recording, sent it to my cloud drive, started a new one. The next 2 weeks became a quiet war of patience. I lived 2 lives. By day, head of analysis, leading meetings, signing off on million-dollar recommendations, receiving praise from Mr. Sterling in front of the entire department. By evening, silent observer in a house of predators. Dolores grew bolder. The mask of concern slipped. "You think that promotion makes you somebody?" she said one night while I washed dishes. "You still can't cook a decent meal. Still no grandchildren. Useless in every way that matters." I dried a plate slowly. "Good night, Dolores." She slammed a cupboard. "Don't walk away when I'm talking to you." I kept walking. Marcus tried softer tactics. He brought home takeout one evening, my favorite Thai place. Sat beside me on the couch. "We've been drifting apart," he said. "I miss us. Maybe we should go away for a weekend. Just the 2 of us." I looked at him. "And leave your mother alone?" "She'll be fine." I almost laughed. "You've never once suggested leaving her behind in 10 years. He flushed. "Things change." "Yes," I said. "They do." I recorded that conversation too. The renovations began. I drove to Midtown every lunch break and after work when I could. Walls came down. New drywall went up. Hardwood floors were sanded and stained warm walnut. I chose soft grays and creams for paint, colors that breathed. I ordered furniture online. A linen sectional, bookshelves, a dining table that seated 6 even though I had no intention of hosting anyone yet. Every purchase came from the new account. Every receipt saved. I began moving things out in small increments. Winter coats to a friend's garage, books to my office locker, important documents in my work bag every day, jewelry in a locked drawer at the new place. Dolores noticed. "Where are you always disappearing to?" she demanded one evening. "Work, errands." "You're hiding something." I met her eyes. "Am I?" she faltered. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her face. Marcus grew restless. He started asking about my schedule, checking my phone when he thought I wasn't looking. I changed the passcode. Carried it with me even to the bathroom. "Week 3, Dolores cracked. She cornered me in the hallway as I came in. "I know she left you something." "Don't lie to me." Sabine's sister saw the paperwork. 2 condos. A cabin, money. You think you can keep it all to yourself? I stood very still. "Where did you get that information, Dolores?" She realized her mistake too late. Her mouth opened, closed. "That's what I thought," I said quietly. That night, Marcus tried the tender approach again. He sat on the edge of the bed after I'd turned off the light. "Simone, if there really is an inheritance, we could use it to start over. A house, kids maybe, a future." I turned on the lamp, looked at him. "Kids," I repeated. "You've never once said you wanted children until money was involved." "That's not true." "It is, and I have recordings to prove it." His face drained of color. "You were eavesdropping?" I came home to my own apartment and heard my husband and mother-in-law planning to exploit and discard me. That's not eavesdropping. That's witnessing a crime against my dignity. He stared at me like I was a stranger. "Simone, I love you." 10 years. 10 years of silence while she humiliated me. 10 years of excuses. "She's old. Just ignore her." "You never defended me." "Not once." He reached for my hand. I pulled away. "I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight," I said. He didn't stop me. The next morning I met Ms. Stone again. "I'm ready to file," I told her. She smiled, small, satisfied. "Then let's begin." We spent 2 hours going over strategy. She explained the timeline. Petition filed, summons served, possible 30 to 90-day reflection period if he contested, then final hearing. "Most important," she said, "do not waver. He will beg. He will rage. He will promise change. Do not believe him. You've seen who he is when he thinks no one important is watching." I nodded. That afternoon, I signed the initial paperwork. 1 week later, the contractor called. Ms. Reed, final walkthrough tomorrow. Place is ready. I stood in my new condo the next evening. Fresh paint, gleaming floors, my sofa already delivered, books on the shelves, coffee maker on the counter, bed made with new linens. I walked from room to room, touched the walls, opened windows, let spring air move through. Then I sat on the floor because the couch felt too formal for what I needed, and cried. Not from pain, from relief. From the bone-deep knowledge that escape was no longer a dream. It was real, and it was mine. The morning after I signed the divorce petition, I woke up in the guest room of Dolores's condo for what I already knew would be one of the last times. The air felt different, thinner, sharper, like the atmosphere before a storm breaks. I didn't linger. I showered quickly, dressed in charcoal gray, packed my work bag with the essentials I still kept there, and left without making coffee or saying good morning. At the office, I was calm in a way I hadn't been in years. I led my first full department meeting as head. 12 analysts looking at me, waiting for direction. I gave it clearly, firmly, no hesitation. When the meeting ended, Mr. Sterling caught me in the hallway. "You're settling in fast," he said. "Numbers already look stronger. Keep it up." I smiled. Small, real. I planned to. That evening, I didn't go straight home. I went to Midtown instead. The condo was nearly finished. Only a few final touches remained. I walked through it slowly, barefoot on the new walnut floors, touching the backs of chairs, running my fingers along the freshly painted walls. The space smelled of paint and possibility. I sat on the linen sectional, still, stiff from the showroom, and let the silence wrap around me like a blanket. No voices waiting to criticize, no passive-aggressive sighs, no one to explain myself to. I stayed there until after midnight, then drove back to the old apartment only because I still needed to retrieve the last of my things without raising immediate suspicion. When I walked in, the lights were on in the kitchen. They were waiting. Dolores sat at the table with a man I didn't know. 50s. Expensive suit, expensive watch, expensive smugness. Marcus stood behind his mother, arms crossed, jaw tight. "There she is," Dolores said. Her smile was thin and victorious. "Sit down, Simone. This is Mr. Lawrence Becker. He's here to explain your obligations." I stayed in the doorway, purse clutched, keys in hand. "Obligations?" I repeated. "Marital property rights," Becker said smoothly. He stood, offered a hand I didn't take. "Your husband informs me you received a substantial inheritance and are refusing to share it with the family." I looked at Marcus. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "I'm not refusing to share what isn't his," I said. "Georgia law is very clear. Inheritance is separate property." Becker cleared his throat. "There are nuances." "There are none." I pulled out my phone, opened the statute Ms. Stone had sent me, and read aloud. OCGA, paragraph 19(3)(9), property acquired by gift or inheritance during marriage remains separate unless commingled or transmuted by agreement. No commingling has occurred. No agreement exists. The lawyer's confidence flickered. "You're well informed," he conceded. "I am." Dolores's hands clenched on the table. "She recorded us," she hissed at Marcus. "I told you." "I recorded everything," I confirmed. "Every conversation, every plan, every time you called me a nothing, every time you discussed divorcing me once the money was in play." Marcus went pale. "Simone," he started, "let's talk privately." "No, we'll talk in court. I filed for divorce this morning. You'll receive the summons by mail." Silence crashed through the room like glass. "You filed?" Marcus stood abruptly. "Without even discussing it with me?" "Discussing it?" I laughed once, short, cold. "Like you discussed with your mother how to pressure me. Exploit me, then discard me. Mama said those things, not me. And you agreed. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's time to make a change." Your exact words. He took a step forward. "You're not going anywhere." "This is my home." "This is your mother's condo," I corrected. "And I'm moving out in the next few days. Unless you throw me out first, in which case I'll call the police." "Police?" Dolores shrieked. "After everything I've done for you?" "Fed me?" I echoed. "I paid half the utilities, bought groceries, contributed rent. Or did you forget?" "Peanuts," she spat, "compared to what you have now. That money is my aunt's life savings. She worked decades, so I would have a way out when I needed one. And you two plan to steal it." "Steal?" Dolores gasped. "We're family. Family shares." "We are not family," I said. The words landed like a door slamming shut. "We were people who ended up under one roof by circumstance. That circumstance ends now." I turned and walked to the bedroom. Behind me, shouting accusations, the lawyer trying to calm them. I packed the last things in 20 minutes. Laptop, chargers. A few framed photos of my parents and Auntie Maeve. Everything else was already gone. Back in the hallway, I stopped. "I'm leaving now," I said loudly. "Keys will be on the table. My attorney will contact you regarding the divorce." I set the keys down, walked out, didn't look back. Outside it was raining, fine, cold mist. I sat in my car for a long minute, hands on the wheel, breathing. 10 years. Over. I started the engine and drove to Midtown. The condo welcomed me with warm light and silence. I made tea, sat by the window, watched the city sparkle below. My phone began to ring. Marcus, again. Messages poured in. "Simone, please, let's talk. You can't just leave. I love you. We can fix this." I blocked his number. Dolores called from the landline. Blocked. Silence returned. Blessed. I slept better than I had in years. The weeks that followed were tense but predictable. Marcus tried everything. Calls through friends, texts from new numbers, showing up at my office building. Security escorted him out once. Dolores came to the firm lobby one afternoon, screaming about family destruction. Mr. Sterling called me in afterward. "Everything okay?" "Divorce," I said simply. "They're not taking it well. If you need anything, legal support, time off, say the word." "Thank you. I'll manage." The first court hearing came a month later. Marcus appeared with Becker. They requested a reconciliation period. The judge granted 30 days. "Use this time wisely," she told us both. "I already have," I answered. Marcus stared at the floor. The 30 days passed in silence on my end. He called, texted, knocked on my condo door once. I never answered. One evening, he caught me in the parking garage. "Simone, please. I'm begging. I'll make her move out. We'll live alone. I'll change." I looked at him, really looked. "You're not begging for me," I said quietly. "You're begging for the life you thought my money would buy." "That's not true." "It is, and we both know it." I walked away. The final hearing was brief. The judge asked if I had reconsidered. "No," I said. Marcus said nothing. Decree granted. I walked out of the courthouse. Into bright spring, sunshine. Miss Stone waited on the steps. "Congratulations," she said. "You're free." I smiled. Yes. Dolores was in the hallway, pale, older, hatred keeping her upright. "You destroyed my son's life," she hissed. "You destroyed his life when you raised him to believe other people exist to serve him?" I replied. "Goodbye, Dolores." I didn't look back. Months passed. Life settled into a rhythm I had never known. Silence in the mornings. Coffee I made only for myself. Weekends at the cabin Auntie Maeve left me. Small wooden house. Apple trees, wild grapevines on the arbor. I gardened, read, sat on the deck listening to birds. I rented out the DeKalb one-bedroom to a quiet young couple. Steady rent, no drama. Work flourished. Quarterly results up 15%. Mr. Sterling called me a godsend. I accepted the praise without shrinking. 6 months after the divorce, I saw Marcus again. By chance. In a mall electronics aisle, he looked diminished, thinner, unshaven, clothes wrinkled. "Simone?" "Hello, Marcus." We stood awkwardly. "How are you?" he asked. "Good. You?" He shrugged. So. I heard later from mutual friends. He'd tried to open the restaurant anyway. Loans, bad partner, bankruptcy. Dolores sold her condo to bail him out. Now they shared a small rental on the city's edge. She worked as a cashier. He did odd jobs. I felt no joy in their fall. No pity either. They had chosen. Consequences followed. A year after Auntie Maeve's death, I visited her grave on a warm May morning. White roses, clean headstone. I sat on the bench. "Hello, Auntie Maeve, I'm here." I told her everything. The condo, the cabin, the promotion, the divorce, the quiet happiness I was learning to trust. I divorced him. "You were right, but I don't regret the 10 years. I learned who I am. I learned what I deserve." I reread her letter one more time. People show their true colors when they think no one is watching. "Thank you," I whispered, "for the money, for the places, but most of all for those words. They saved me." I straightened the flowers and stood. "I'll come every year." And in between, "You're not alone." I walked away under green trees, birds singing. That evening I sat on my balcony. City lights below, tea cooling in my hand, wind in my hair. 35. Not old. Not late. Just beginning. Decades ahead. Travel, books, laughter with friends. Maybe someday love again. With someone who sees me clearly from the start. But right now, solitude felt like the sweetest gift. I looked at my reflection in the dark glass. Calm eyes, soft smile, shoulders relaxed. I was here, living, for myself. Exactly as Auntie Maeve wanted. And for the first time in a very long time, I was happy. Quietly, deeply, truly.